Hello and welcome to Lynchburg Live. I'm your host, Linda Smith. My guest tonight is Makena Yarbrough, Executive Director of the Lynchburg Humane Society. As an animal lover, I really wanted to do this show to highlight all the wonderful things that the Lynchburg Humane Society does for unwanted animals and pets, and also as an attempt to encourage responsible pet ownership, which I think is so important. Makena, I'm so glad to have you as a guest on Lynchburg Live.
Thank you so much for having us.
As we get started, you have a big job. Would you tell us what you do as Executive Director of the Lynchburg Humane Society?
I think it's the best job in the whole world.
Great.
I am responsible for the day-to-day operations of the facility. I'm in charge of fundraising, marketing. The joke is, what am I not involved with, basically? Community outreach programs, new staff development. So I do everything there.
How long have you been in this position?
I've been in Lynchburg for almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in July. I've been in the field for about 10 years.
I don't think you could do this job and not be an animal lover. Do you have animals of your own? I
do. I've had animals my whole life. I can't imagine a time where I didn't have an animal. I currently have a 7-year-old boxer that we acquired from an organization in Richmond when I was working there. So she's lovely. She's a wonderful dog.
I always thought if I were a volunteer at the Humane Society that I would have a house full of animals.
You know, people say that, but you know, really, our job is to get them home. So
right.
You fall in love with many. I mean, I've been in love with hundreds of animals in my lifetime, but the great part about the job is you get to watch them go to really great homes.
And that has to be very rewarding. Do you have statistics on how many homeless animals come through your shelter in a month or a year?
We see about close to 1,800 animals a year, and mainly dogs and cats. And you know, on average, it's about 70 dogs a month, 75 dogs a month coming through. And then cats is hard because we have seasonal times where we take in far more than others. So we can take in as little as 30 a month and as more as 120 a month. So.
And your motto is giving animals
a second chance. That's right.
That's wonderful. How long do you keep an adoptable pet?
I'm glad you asked that, because a lot of people have the misnomer that there's a deadline, so to speak. And if we have a dog or a cat that's available for adoption and it's in great health or good health or treatable health, it stays there until it finds a home. We've had a cat there almost a year, which is very unfortunate, but it found a wonderful home. And we've had dogs there for 5-6 months. And they were great dogs. They just didn't find the right match yet. So we do not have a time limit, per se.
That's great. I mean, I think everybody needs to know that.
I agree, because I think that's the #1 question we hear at the shelter is, how long does this dog or cat have?
Right.
And we do not have time limits.
That makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Now, do you have other animals in the shelter besides cats and dogs?
We do. In fact, right now we have 1 gerbil and 2 rabbits. But we see everything from parakeets to chickens. We've had a few chickens last year, which was astonishing to me. I not experienced that in a shelter environment. But
it's kind of bizarre.
It was a little bizarre, actually, to see a stray chicken come through. Gerbils, as I said, guinea pigs, but mainly we see a lot of the rabbits, those kind of pocket pets.
Right.
Yeah.
People who get them and have no clue how to care for them, I'm imagining.
Exactly. You know, you get a rabbit and you're not quite sure exactly all that entails with caring for a rabbit, and sometimes its life changes. So,
what's the capacity of dogs and cats?
That's a really good question, because I get that question quite frequently. And you know, it's a hard question to answer because we're very creative with the way we use our space. And you know, we really don't have a full capacity limit, like a number I can say. You know, we've had as many as 200 cats in our facility before, and that to me is an extreme number. But we, you know, increase our staff to make sure we can care for them properly. For dogs, it's a little easier to say how many we could take because we only have a certain number of kennels. Cats we can put in various places in cages and in different kinds of setups. but you know, we're very creative in our space and what we do with it to make sure we can, you know, keep as many as we can alive.
You know, spaying and neutering is such an important thing if you're going to be a responsible pet owner.
Yes, it is. Please fix your pets, especially your cats. We have a huge overpopulation issue in this community of cats and of pit bulls primarily. We're not seeing as many puppies in recent years, but it's still extremely important for the health of your pet, but also for the other homeless animals in this community that you please spay and neuter. And
you have a spay and neuter clinic, don't you?
We don't ourselves. We are associated through a partnership, so to speak, with the South Central Spay Neuter Clinic. We have a shuttle that goes to their clinic. It's their facility.
Oh, that's good.
And they offer the low-cost spay neuter costs to us and to the people of our community that we help transport the animals over there to their clinic.
Is that the facility in Concord?
I'm not sure if it's in Concord. It's Campbell County.
I had just seen something on television about them recently, which
yes, they have had some recent press. It's a wonderful organization.
Now, while the animals are there, I understand they can also get their inoculations for feline leukemia and some other things, heartworm.
Correct. They do offer an array of shots and testing that can be done. We ourselves at the Humane Society, we do initial shots as well. You know, your basic distemper parva for dogs, right, and the feline distemper panleuk for cats. Rabies shot has to be done by a veterinarian. That's where those shots are given. And we also have the capability of testing for feline leukemia and AIDS as well.
What advice would you offer to somebody who's lost a pet?
Please call your local shelter and keep calling, and come in, fill out a loss report, bring a photo with you, and just keep checking, because you may lose your dog on Wednesday and we may not see it for a week or two later, right, or a month later. So never stop is the first thing I would say. And make sure you call all of the shelters around us. Dogs don't know boundaries, or cats. And you know, it's interesting. We get a large number of cats, but only maybe 1% of them are returned to their owners. Right. And so it's extremely important, if you have a cat, to please put a tag or some sort of identification on it.
How about somebody who's found a pet and you know, they don't want to just leave it outside, but they don't know what to do with it?
You can bring it to your local shelter. If you find it in Lynchburg, city of Lynchburg, you would bring it to the Lynchburg Humane Society. If you find it in one of your other counties, that's the county pound that it should go to. If you feel uncomfortable taking it to your local pound, because some people do, you're welcome to call in a lost report and give full description on the animal that you found and hold on to it through its stray period. And then it would be, I guess, become yours, or you can then take it to a local shelter or humane society at that point.
For owners who find themselves in a situation that they can no longer care for a pet, how do they surrender a pet to you?
This is one of our new programs that we implemented back almost 2 years ago in July. We ask that owners surrender their pets through an appointment system. And the primary reason we do that is it enables us to know when we have pets coming in. We make sure we have appropriate space for those pets so that we aren't euthanizing for space purposes. Right. Because so many animals don't have someone advocating for them that come to our shelter. We ask the owners to take a little bit more responsibility. And we also help them. You know, we give them resources to either work on the problems they're having with the pet, if they're having to surrender it for financial reasons and they can't afford the pet any longer. We help them with food supplies. We also will help them rehome their pet, which is the best case scenario. Right. Is we want them to find a home for their pet rather than having to come to any shelter, because a shelter is no place for an animal, right. I think. I mean, it is wonderful that we're here, but it's a very stressful environment.
You know, I read on your website about working with people who are in the surrender process.
Correct.
And that after you work with some of these people, they don't surrender their animals, and I think that's wonderful.
We had a 33% success rate is what I call it. Almost 300 animals didn't come to our facility
Great.
Last year. They were either rehomed or they were kept by their owners. Because I think so many times we see in this field that owners have a, and I hate to call it this, but it's the best way of describing it. It's almost like a knee-jerk reaction. The dog has just chewed up the cushion for the last time,
Right.
and it's frustrating, and they're in an emotional point, and they feel like the only thing they can do is get rid of their pet. They're going through a divorce, and this actually happened to somebody I know who they just had found out that the husband was leaving them. They were in an emotional state, and they felt like they couldn't handle everything, and so they were going to surrender their pet. But then they took a beat, and they thought it through, and they found out there are some things they can do to fix the problem, and then they realized that they didn't want to give up their pet. So it's a way of slowing down that emotional process and helping people through their problem. And not everybody can work through their problem.
Right.
So we often take animals in right away in those dire straits situations. They're evicted, or they can't afford the pet, and the pet is, the best thing for the pet is to come to us. So we always work with those cases as well, and far more than you would think.
What are the chances of a surrendered family pet being adopted?
100%.
Good. That's great.
For the most part. I mean, it's funny because a lot of people ask us about older pets. You know, we just adopted out an 8-year-old chow mix, and it's amazing how many people will take on these older pets because they're so compassionate. It's a very sad thing to see. So, you know, if you surrender your pet and we have a problem with it, we will certainly call you and give you an option. But most of them find homes. 84% of the animals that came to us last year found a home.
You know, in talking about the innovations that you really have sort of instigated here at this shelter, I understand from WSET that you have a free roaming cat room. What is that?
We just started it. I love it. I absolutely love it. Traditionally, cats are in cages. They're in, you know, stainless steel cages. The new innovation is to allow them to roam free through the room and hide in cubbies and sleep in chairs and not be confined to a cage. The average length of stay for a cat is about 54 days. So it's a long time for them to be isolated in a small space. We have opened up the doors of the cages. We have tested them all for feline leukemia. We make sure they're well, and they're just roaming free.
I think that's great.
It's great because we have families coming in now, which we didn't have before, where these kids are let loose in the room to play with the cats, and the cats are up on the cage tops or on the window ledges and looking out the windows, and it's just a completely new environment for them.
A healthier environment.
Cats don't belong in
stuck
cages.
in cages.
Absolutely.
Now, I also understand that the euthanasia rate has been reduced by 61%
for 2010.
And so that means more adoptions are happening too?
11% up in adoptions. We've increased how many pets have gone home to their owners. You can actually go online. I should have mentioned this before. If you've lost your pet, we have a database of all the lost pets in our shelter. It's under Services Lost and Found, and you can look at all the different information and photos on the animals that have come to us as strays.
I like that you referred to not putting these animals to sleep as your save rate.
Save rate, yes.
I think that's cool.
Because that's what we're here for. We're here to save lives. We're not here to do harm.
You know, one of the things that has my attention on watching the news, WSET News at noon, is having the Pet of the Week on there.
They're very generous with their time.
Could you make a guess, or do you have any idea how many animals have been adopted through having been TV stars?
I know, I wish I had that for you. You know, I think it's wonderful exposure, and I know, you know, we get a lot of calls. I mean, that's how I know if it's been a successful spot, is if we get an array of, you know, 15 phone calls for one particular pet. Now, I don't know how many of those people come in. Unfortunately, I don't have a statistic on that, but I gotta say, it does a world of good of really helping us adopt out those animals.
And no matter what I'm doing, I'll stop and look at the animals.
Oh, it's great fun. They had a beautiful dog on today.
They did.
A black lab, yeah.
What are your long-range goals for this shelter?
Our long-range goals is to achieve no-kill by 2015, and I gotta say, we're pretty darn close.
That's great.
The last 3 months, we've been in a 95% save rate, which is no-kill. For 3 months, we've been operating in that perfect fashion.
That's wonderful.
You know, our big hope is to have a new facility. I mean, that's our next big project, and to continue to increase adoptions and continue to increase our community awareness to the issues.
Do you have a location?
For the new facility?
For the new
We have a
facility.
general area. We just put an offer in on a piece of property. I don't want to jinx it.
That's okay.
But we've been looking at properties over in the Graves Mill, Old Graves Mill area. And there's been a number of pieces that we've looked at. So it'll be accessible to everybody in the community and those in surrounding counties as well. And we're looking for enough land to be able to build the large facility that we'd like to.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
We don't want it to be a pound or a shelter. We wanted to look at it more of an educational center for people and for their pets.
What specific, if you can tell me, things we offered at the new shelter that you don't have currently?
It's a great question. A lot. Our current facility, if you haven't been there, I welcome you to come. It's, you know, it's an older facility that's deteriorating quite a bit. And unfortunately, when it was built, it wasn't built with the idea that they would be saving animals. It was more of a place to house them. And unfortunately, they don't have, we don't have, I should say, we don't have appropriate isolation area for sick animals. We have one room that we can isolate a dog into if it becomes contagious, like kennel cough or parvo, that are extremely treatable, but if 2 dogs come down with kennel cough, we then have an issue. I have no place to treat them. So the new facility, mainly in the staff's mind, would enable us to treat more and do more good. In the community aspect, we'll have much more of a friendlier environment, more cat group rooms where we'll have 10 to 15 cats roaming free, less cages. What I love is rooms for dogs, more of a real-life room for dogs with couches and places where they would live and be, not in cages.
That's great.
You know, so there's not bars separating you from the animal, but glass where you can go in and visit more easily. A training facility where people can come and have training classes.
That's wonderful. That's a big plus.
A huge plus. A wonderful center for kids. You know, we have no place to educate the children of this community on this issue. And so we would have an area or a room built specifically for that function where we could have camps or birthday parties and educational sessions for children. Because I do think that's the next phase in this, is to then start to educate those young children.
I agree. You've brought some pictures, and we're going to show those and let you tell us what they are.
Okay.
But from the point that we show these pictures through the rest of the show, flashed behind us will be pictures of animals that are ready for adoption at the center. So just wanted to say that so that our people would know what was going on. So Phil, if you'll put, there you go. You just tell us.
That's our new logo that we just got last year. We're very happy with it. This is just an artist's concept of what the lobby would be for the new facility. So it would be a much more open, friendlier place, someplace you would want to come just to hang out. This is an example of a group room for cats where they can just kind of live freely. It's, again, a much friendlier environment. You can go in, read a book, hang out, do your homework, bring your laptop. This is an example of our current facility. This is our conference room that we have made into a cat room. And this is one of those programs that we implemented when I got there, was to take the space that we currently have and create more space so we could house cats. It's not ideal, obviously, but at least these animals have an opportunity. So the new shelter wouldn't have this, obviously. This is our current cat adoption room. Again, this is where the free roaming cat room has been established, and I didn't bring photos of that, and I should have. But so right now, cats are just roaming free through this room.
Great.
This is our current dog area. Very dark. It's very hot in the summertime. There is no AC. I know I'm making it sound like a wonderful place to come. It is, you know, it's important that people still come out to the current facility and adopt. But it shows why we need a new building. It's not conducive to keeping them healthy, and when you have extreme heat and extreme cold, it's very difficult.
I'm sure.
And this is an example of a better space that we would like to see. And that's a real-life room for dogs.
Good.
Much more welcoming, much better. It's less stressful. When you have less stress, you have less illness. That's one of the cats that has found a home.
Good.
A wonderful photographer came in and took some photos, and this is one of the ones he took. Chris Breedlove came in and did a number of photos for us. Again, a wonderful photo
adopted one.
of adopted pet. So, yes,
That's
I love
wonderful.
that photo. We do have some wonderful puppies right now.
I think this is the picture that...
Yes, that one is available for adoption. Actually, it's going through treatment right now.
Good.
It actually became sick, and because we work with one of our local veterinarians, they're helping us out.
Okay, at this point, these are going to be flashed behind us,
okay.
so that you
I love
can
that
see.
photo of the cat lounging.
Well, anyway, this
one
big
of our
ball
new
of
group
fur
rooms.
is a cat.
That's great.
All right, in January, someone, I heard on the news, surrendered 40 dogs to you all. And
Yes.
how in the world do you cope with
Unbelievable.
something like that?
Thankfully, they were small. We took that conference room that you saw and we set up all the dogs in there in large crates and moved all the cats out to another space. We called upon some foster volunteers. The staff did a wonderful job making space for them.
And I understand most of them were adopted.
I think all of them are adopted by
That's
this
great.
point. Most of them were adopted very quickly, within a few. WSET did that wonderful story and really got the word out, and we were just flooded with a number of people coming to see them.
That's wonderful. I think it's wonderful.
It was great.
That
yeah.
the community comes forward and
you know, it was a bad situation. The dogs were not in that poor of a health, so it was just someone who got overwhelmed and didn't know what to do, and I'm glad that we were able to be there and help out the situation.
Do you see a lot of animal hoarding in this area?
We don't. I mean, I've seen, you know, some bad situations. The 40 dogs is the most we've gotten in one time. I've seen a number of cat hoarding situations here, but, you know, no more than any other area, I would say.
How about, you know, I hate to even ask this question simply because I don't like to hear the answer, but animal abuse, do we see that in this area?
We do, unfortunately, and, you know, we don't see it as much at the shelter, thankfully, as animal control officers do out in the field. They deal with it far more than we do, but it is there, and you know, it plays into our day-to-day lives at times.
Yes,
you know,
I'm sure.
It's hard to be cheery and happy sometimes when you see some of the things that we do, but generally, most people in this community are wonderful pet owners, so thankfully, it's not that much.
The colonies of stray feral cats we have in this area.
Yes.
How do we deal with those?
Well, I got a great answer to that one.
Okay.
We estimated that there's about 11,000 just in the city of ferals, free roaming, running the streets cats. It's amazing. And so we applied for a grant. In fact, you all are scooping everybody else right now.
Good.
We haven't put the press release out. But we got a grant from PetSmart Charities, and they provided us with $50,000 it's a starter grant, so we're hoping that we can continue this program to spay and neuter 2,000 cats for free. And we're working with the South Central Spay Neuter Clinic on that program. So we'll have vouchers that we hand out to people who have to live within certain zip codes. It's the 02, 04, and 01 zip codes to be able to qualify. And we're fixing all the ferals and free roaming cats we can.
I think that's, I just
to
think
cut
that's
down
wonderful.
on as many as we have.
I applaud you for that.
It's a huge problem.
Now, you partner with PetSmart.
Yeah, we do have cats over there at the PetSmart. Right. They're a wonderful organization. We're very thankful that they allow us to do that. And obviously with this grant, they're huge partners of ours. We're very excited.
I
can't
go
tell
over
you
there
how
and look
excited
at the cats. All right, do you have veterinarians who work with your shelter
we do.
on a routine basis?
We're very lucky. Peaksview Animal Hospital has been working with us even before I arrived, but we had a more formal agreement put together, and we couldn't save as many as we are without their help. Riverside Vet is one that we've since developed a relationship with, and they also do a lot of work for us. for free. Both of those are our #1 contributor to what I call the Second Chance Fund, which is our medical fund that helps pay for these types of treatments. And then we just recently got help from the animal, hopefully I won't mess up the name, the Animal Hospital of Lynchburg. Wonderful set of vets there who he's going to come in once a month and kind of look at our unhealthies and give us some advice and help there.
That's great.
So the vets, they're doing wonderful work here. We're very happy.
As hard as it is to believe, we only have about 3 more minutes.
Oh gosh, you're kidding me.
No,
wow.
I'm telling you the truth.
What do we have to talk about now? Lots.
I've got 2 more pages of questions that we haven't gotten to. But if you could say one thing to this audience and to pet owners, what would it be?
Please
now
adopt.
is your chance.
Please adopt. Please, you know, we get a lot of wonderful purebred dogs in, and if you're patient and work with us, we can help match you up with the right pet. And the other thing I would say is if you own a pet, please take it seriously. It's a serious commitment, not to be taken lightly, and
it's a life.
It is a life. I mean, you'd be surprised at how many animals are dying, and I hate to be crass, but dying in the shelters around us. It's a large number,
right.
And majority of them aren't making it out. So please take it seriously. And if you need help, call us. We're here to help.
If someone wanted to be a volunteer,
please come volunteer. Our website has an array of information on volunteer program, fostering, which is the huge program that we had about 200.
I wanted to get to that.
200 cats in foster care last year, and we couldn't do what we're doing without the foster program. So our website is lynchburghumane.org. So please go out and check it out.
Makena, thank you so much for being my guest.
Thank you for having me.
And I do hope that seeing these wonderful animals and their
yes.
sweet faces behind us as we've finished up this interview will help get some of these animals adopted.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's show, and if you're looking for a pet, please consider looking at the Amherst and Lynchburg Humane Societies in the Campbell County, all the surrounding.
All the humane societies.
Because these animals.
And the pounds.
And the pounds.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They need homes, and that's a good place to start looking. My next show will feature Lynchburg surgeon Dr. Rob Bass, and he'll be discussing his 5 deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.